if you think of the United States, well, the population of Canada is 34.5 million. It is as big as California. So, you know, there's a good reason to come to Canada. Actually, I have never saw any American company selling their drug in the United States and not trying to sell their drug in California. Well, unless Kaiser says no. For Europe, well, 34.5 million. This is more than the population of Switzerland, Netherlands, Belgium, Scandinavian country, Austria, just name it. And when you try to put a drug on the European market, you always go to those countries. So you should think about Canada. Myth number 2, medication cannot be sold in Canada before approval. Well, yes, you can. Actually, you can make money selling your drug in Canada before getting approval. There's some company that does it. A lot of companies don't know about it. There's a way. It's called the Special Access Program. It's on a patient name basis. If it's an injectable, normally it is paid by the hospital. If it's a normal drug, may be paid by the hospital or you'll be paid cash by the patient. Normally, the insurance company are not paying before approval. Normally, the provincial government are not paying also. But you would be surprised how much sale you can make in Canada before approval. I'm doing it, you can do it. Myth number 3, Canadian government controls prices. Well, that's true. Well, like nearly all countries, we control prices of patent drug. If you have a patent, it's true that the Canadian government with the PMPRB, Patent Review Board, will control your price. But if you don't have a patent, you can charge what the market will bear. So you can nearly charge what you want. Actually, for certain drugs, you can charge more than what you're charging in the United States. And rule of thumb, if your sale is less than $5 million in Canada, there's maybe some exception, but if it's less than $5 million, the generic industry won't bother you. And most of your drugs are pretty complicated to copy. Myth number 4, Canada, it's a low-price country. Well, compared to the United States, we're all a low-price country. But the truth is that we are a high-price country. Because I talked to you about the PMPRB. If you have a patent, normally they look at 7 reference price, and it's the median price. What it means is you take out the United States as the highest price, and you will take out UK and Italy as the lowest price. So your Canadian price will be between Germany, Sweden, Switzerland, France. This is pretty high. So it's clearly higher than the price you will get from all the Southern Europe country or East Europe countries. So it's a high-price country. And if you look at the amount of dollars we're spending on drugs in Canada, totally, we are in the top 10 country in the world. So could you really afford not to sell your drug in Canada? Myth number 5. Oh, that's a good one. Parallel import between Canada and the United States. The reality is for orphan drug, I believe it's a non-issue. It may happen once or twice, but yes, there were some parallel import that has been done, but the Canadian government is fighting against that. Why? Because clearly we're shooting ourselves in the foot. If you have a drug in the United States that has a patent, and the price is lower in Canada, and every time you ship your drug in Canada, it comes back through internet pharmacy, well, you won't ship any drug to Canada. And we know this. And it's impossible for the Canadian market to manufacture enough drug to cover all the United States. So for drug, like orphan drug, it's a non-issue. For normal drug, let's say like Lipitor and things like that, it's less than 0.5% of the drug we take in Canada that goes back to the United States. Less than 0.5. If it's an injectable, it's less than 0.2%. And one thing that the American border knows very much is all those websites, you know, like those internet pharmacy, Canada Internet Pharmacy, most of them are not Canadian. The drug comes from India, the drugs come from Europe, and the American border are trying very hard to block that. So clearly, I believe that it'll be less and less a problem, and I believe also with the Obamacare, you'll have even less of a problem. So for orphan drug, the way it is made, I don't see it as a problem. Myth number 6. Canadian government pays for all medication. Well, in general, Canadian government pays for nothing. The province pays for the medication. And you will see later on that that creates a problem. Myth number 7. Market access is hell. Well, yes, it is. It's hell because, as I explained to you, one of the problems is that the federal government approved the drug. The provincial government pays for the drug. It's a bit like in Europe. The EMEA approved the drug, and the country will pay for it. It's not because the EMEA has approved the drug that everyone will have access to it in Europe. Same thing in Canada. So as bad as it may seem, you may have, let's say, an oncologic drug paid in Quebec, and it won't be paid in Ontario. So in one province, patients have access, the other one, they won't have access. So it makes that it's very, very difficult. It makes that you have to lobby each province one by one and use your patient group in order to be able to, have them reimburse the drug. So it's time-consuming, it's labor-consuming, but there's a way to do it. And there's a way to make money, but you have to understand the system and you have to be willing to spend the time and energy. But it's feasible. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train. And so this light is that if you look at the private insurer, now they're pulling together in Canada. So for your high-priced drug, they would like to pull it together in order to pay for it. Well, the provincial government is doing the same thing. They have not finalized, but they are having talks about it. Because in Canada, what happened is that you may have like patients that will go from one province to the other one to have access to their drug. And then some province will say, well, you have not paid tax in my province for the last 3 years, so we're not providing you the drug. So that's inhuman. But this is the system how it is today, but I really foresee that the system will change in the future. So there's hope, and there's there's ways to make money because some people actually succeed in doing it. Myth number 8. No Orphan Drug Act means no protection. Well, yes, we don't have an Orphan Drug Act, but we can act. Actually, you can get protection in Canada. In Canada, you get 8-year data protection if you have a new chemical entity. That's not bad. We respect all patent. You can have a patent over a new indication. We'll respect this. It's true that if you have a repurposed drug that is not a new chemical entity and that has no patent, you don't have the protection you get in the United States and in Europe. That's true. But again, if the sales you think you'll make in Canada is less than 5 million, well, there's a market there. You can do it. By the way, I was saying that we are a high-priced country between you and me. Don't say it to anyone. But if you have an injectable for neonates or pediatric, this is where you can get the highest price. The older gets your patient, normally in Canada, they tend to pay less. There's exception, there's oncologic drug, clearly. But in general, Neonates, injectable, this is high price. We'll pay a high price for that. Myth number 9, the best way, and I saw that often, the best way to get an orphan drug in Canada on the Canadian market is through a North American deal. I hear that from European company. Actually, for what I've heard and for what I've seen, it's mostly to be American company that will be buying this drug, buying the license. So it means you pay for United States and you get Canada for free. And the chance that this American company put the drug on the Canadian market is slim, because no matter how you slice it, the Canadian system, it's not just another state of the United States. The Canadian system looks more like the European system than the American system. So chances are that they won't spend the time and the energy to really bring the drug in Canada. So what it means, you will not, in most cases, have any revenue from one of the top 10 countries in the world when you think about the amount of money we spend on medication. In conclusion, what I would like you to think when you go back with your team, I would like you to think about Canada, because it's one of the top 10 countries in the world. Could you afford not to be there? And there's 3 reasons why you should be in Canada. 1, it's highly populated, 34.5 million people. That's not bad. It's a high-priced country, and there's money to be made. It's an untapped market. And the reality is, Canadians suffer for not having access to your drug. You can make money, and you can make a difference. Thank you.